All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of RareFUD Radio. My name is Bison, aka Bison Trades, over on Twitter. And yes, we are back with another episode. Sorry for missing Thursday. We did have some stuff come up, but we are back in the saddle, ready to ride yet again. And there has been a ton that has happened in this past week. Obviously, with the fallout of FTX and everything that comes with that, there's a lot of fundamentals that have changed within the Solana NFT ecosystem. Surprisingly, we have been cranking lately, absolutely cranking. There's been a ton of opportunity if you're looking for it. We've been on top of it here on RareFUD. If you've been following our Twitter accounts, between myself, between Joe, between Dorian, we have been posting some really good news and tidbits, and it's been panning out. So please make sure to follow us on our socials. Just a reminder, we do stream every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is on our RareFUD Radio channel now. It's not on my personal channel. That will be for curated content along with Dorian's channel. So without further ado, love to bring up my co-hosts today. Let's go ahead and bring on Dorian. Dorian, how you doing today, my man?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Every day is a holiday. These past couple weeks, it's still been a holiday, but man, it's just like the worst holiday that you could think of. I don't even know which one that is. It's probably one that you got to work on. But that right now, man, it's starting to turn around despite all things going on in the market. But I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here. And sorry to everybody for not having the show on Thursday.
Yeah, we're cooking still. I mean, it's if I think about it, like Sol is still $100. I'm a very happy camper. If I don't look at the chart, I'm very happy with it. So if I just move that decimal place over one to the right, we're cooking over here. And then we also have our other co-host, Joe Sol. What's going on, Joe? How you doing today?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Door looking good, man. Glad to see my man back in action. Yeah, man. We're happy, man. It's crazy time in the market, but we're still here grinding. That's all that matters. Putting that feet in the pigs, one foot in front of the other.
Yep.
Absolutely. And there has been a ton going on. Obviously, last stream, we just talked about the falling out of FTX, right? That was a massive moment. It was a black swan, and we've been waiting for one for a while. Some of the more notable ones that we've seen lately were Mt. Gox back in 2013, the DAO hack of Ethereum back in 2016, 2017. They rose from the ashes. We also saw the ICO debacle, where everything that was basically NFTs back in 2017, 2018, except there was no pictures or fun communities or anything like that. It was just speculation. And once they got cracked down on, the entire market dipped. So we see these events happen pretty much cyclically, right? Where we have these moments where it seems like all hope is lost. It seems like crypto is dead. It feels like we'll never recover from this. And FTX joins that list. However, these are the times that we find the most value, right? That it's where we start seeing incredible buying opportunities that will set yourself up for the next 2, 3, 5 years, whatever the next cycle looks like. So do want to encourage everybody listening right now, everybody watching, everybody listening on podcasts eventually, make sure you are staying in tune with the market. It is a crazy time happening right now, but there is so much opportunity still, so much opportunity. So let's talk a little bit about the market. So speaking of opportunity, we are at a whopping 280,000 Solana volume. Now, we can attribute this to a number of things. One, the Dust team, the D Labs team, which is DeGods, Utes, and Tubes, makes up for 160K of that. That is over half. Okay, like that's like almost 60% of our volume is to those three projects. It's huge. And we just had a massive capitulation candle down where when we first ran to $12.5 Solana, everybody was flooring stuff at like insane floors too. Tios were going for 60, DeGods were going for 120, Utes were going for
SMB dropped to what, like 100 or something stupid?
Yeah. I think Saigo caught a 125 SMB, but there was insane deals going on. And people that took advantage of it, they bought the fear, are now sitting pretty right now. Pretty much all of those that we just talked about are 2x from where they were. So it's an incredible time. You just keep your eye on the market. Make sure that you're watching these floors, because when people are capitulating like that, especially when Sol is only $14 now, This is incredible opportunities to find really quality projects that are going to be around here for the next cycle and beyond, right? So yeah, I mean, we see massive returns now. I personally am selling a lot of my positions right now. It just feels too good to be true. Like that, I mean, over the past 3 days, we've seen massive returns on those capitulation entries. And for me, it is locking in those profits. It is maintaining liquidity. And when I've had liquidity, I've had opportunities just present themselves and being able to massively profit on those. So one, I want to go over to you, Joe. What have you been doing? How do you feel about the market right now? What are you looking at?
Yo, what's going on? Yeah, man. So I think the time to buy was during the capitulation. If you're going to, you're running into buyer's exhaustion here. For a lot of projects, obviously Utes is a outlier with the whole DeGod ecosystem because there's a lot of speculation there, a lot of ETH money is involved. So that's, it doesn't really account for our normal set of volume, hand to hand. But yeah, so I exited actually a lot of positions. I still have some listed. I've sold off a position of Sol. So yeah, I'm looking to re-enter now, just waiting for a new structure to form here, right? Like we kind of hit resistance, even with floor prices for NFTs, right? We've seen a good dip and a good, spike of 20 to 60%. I just think that we have to wait. The safe play is to wait here. We don't need to time anything. We can re-enter if we see, oh, that was a bottom. We're going up with good confluence. Or we wait and let a new structure build and say, okay, I'll re-enter here. So I think we're in a good position now. If you did buy, take some profits. If you didn't, hang out and wait for the next structure to build.
Yeah. This is I cannot echo that enough, Joe, because this does not feel like a position of strength to be entering into anything. It doesn't feel like you're going to be making these massive oversized returns that we saw over the past few days. For me, if I'm like, it is one thing that we've been trying to tell everybody is that taking no position is a position sometimes. And like being okay with either sitting in stables or sitting on Sol, just waiting for things to happen, is okay. It's totally fine. So just make sure you're playing from a position of strength. If you don't feel 100% conviction in something, don't take it right now. I wouldn't be minting anything. Like, yeah, I just minted a ton of Popheadz. We'll get into that in a little bit, but
same here, dog.
yeah, they were just fun to mint. And I'm a big supporter of Joyce and the team and just everything they're building out there. But nonetheless, it would have made more sense to actually buy on secondary post mint. So it was a slow mint process. It was about a day or two long period, and you would have been much better waiting for a 1.3 Sol entry, which was the lowest I saw. So, I mean, like you could have taken advantage of that stuff. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it is just play from a position of strength, right? If you see absolute like monster wick down on some of your favorite projects where it goes like 50% down or something, that's probably a better time to enter than when it's gone up 2 to 3x over the past few days. Dor, I want to kick it over to you. How do you feel about the market right now? What are you looking at?
Oh man, I just wanted to hit on your point real quick where you mentioned earlier. It's like during that capitulation time frame, what's the time to be buying, man? I even put out a tweet talking about if you're flooring your NFTs right now, you're like shooting yourself in the foot. Like we saw Sol drop 50 to 60% in like 2 days. Not only that, we saw NFTs floor pull back like 20%. So you're losing 80% on your investment. It's like what changed fundamentally between when the price was 33 and you were sitting up 2x in terms of USD and now it's like, did anything fundamentally change with Solana? No. Did anything fundamentally change with the project that you were invested in? No. So why are you taking a gun, blowing off your foot for chump change exit liquidity? It made no sense, and we saw people get punished for that. Saigo, as you said, was one of them who swooped it up. But for me, dog, in terms of the market, it's great to see so much volume. But for me, I'm just sitting on the sidelines right now. I'm looking to pick up extra work so I can start getting more capital to DCA into Sol, because I think we're going to be ranging here for a minute, dog. I don't think we're going to see 30s, anything high anytime soon. So my whole goal right now is to pick up as many top tier projects such as SMB, DeGods, Tios, because their floor prices remain the same, even though we saw USD value go down by half. So I think this is an excellent buy-in opportunity from some of the top tier projects in the ecosystem. And other than picking up those, I'm just chilling. I think the exception to that was Popheadz, which we'll get into later. But I just like to supporting one-of-one artists. And even though I could have gotten a better entry on secondary, I just wanted to see the project mint out. So it's like, what? I minted 4 of them, so that probably cost me a total of $30 with the current price of Sol. But yeah, man, that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think it made it a lot easier. We can actually let's go into Popheadz first, and then we'll talk about Utes and DeGods and that craziness over there, because that deserves 30 minutes of our time, because what they're doing over there, volume wise, is insane.
It's insane.
It's nothing I've ever. I mean, in this kind of market is I mean, we got to talk about it. It's crazy. So nonetheless, let's talk about Popheadz first. Now, I know Dor and I minted. I don't think Joe touched it, which like we said, probably hindsight 2020 is the smart financial thing to do. But at the same time, when I went over there, I minted, I think I got 4 whitelists, right? I got 2 just for being around and present. And then 2 I bought on secondary for like 0.3.
Yeah.
I didn't need to buy those, right? It went into public after a while, and that's okay. That's kind of why I didn't ape into those secondary or those whitelist tokens. But man, what a fun mint. It was on Form Function. It was the first Form Function mint that we've seen for a generative collection. The art is just top notch, dude. It is so good. I think they said they have something like, I gotta check the thread again. It's like 3,600 unique traits or something. I mean, it's like insane how many unique traits they have. None of them look the same.
Nope.
I mean, like, you might see some similar architecture on some of them. Like, I have 2 oxen, right, that look like bison, and that's why I rep it as a PFP right now. But they all look so good. They all look so different. And there's a lot of things that are coming for Popheadz. It's not just the art. And I think a lot of people are going to overlook that. And I think that's why it's a comfy medium-term hold for me, is because eventually there's talk of they will have bodies. Eventually there's talk of you can swap out some of the traits and stuff like that. Like, it just won't be Popheadz. So, and when I say swap out some of the traits, I mean, like, customize it. Do you want a male or female? Do you want a different skin tone? All of that good stuff is coming to it. So I think it's just, for me, just really cool to see. And seeing the dollar value of 3 Sol to mint was like $45.
Yep.
Well, I spent more on Pokemon card packs than that, dude. I will literally go open those all day long to support good artists who have been around and are still grinding. They said, you know what? We know what kind of market we're in. We're still going to mint. Want to get your take, because so far they've actually done pretty well. I mean, they went above mint after being, I thought they were going to be at like 1 Sol for a little bit, honestly. But they showed great strength. Went up to like close to 4 today. It seems like it's tapered off a little bit, but want to get your take. Dor, we'll go over to you first, and then Joe, I want to get your perspective.
Yeah, man. I love like Joyce's one-of-one collections, critters or whatnot. It's awesome. They're cute little animated one-of-ones, and they're awesome. Saigo put me onto her, and which led me into Popheadz. And the art on Popheadz is amazing, man. No Pophead looks the same. It's like 10K in the collection. It's like one of the first collections where I'm like, I go through and I'm like, there's nothing similar. All of them are unique and different from each other. And then you have your animated ones, and it was just such a fun time to mint. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I want to see her succeed and the project succeed. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to eat this $45. And I did pick up a couple whitelists off of Famous Fox, but it was nothing. It's like, so I envision just like, I'm onto this long term. I love supporting one-of-one artists. You got me into one-of-one artists, Bison. So anytime a one-of-one artist wants to do a larger collection, I'm all on board for it. But I didn't know what she has coming for future. And honestly, it didn't matter to me, because I'm like, man, these Popheadz are just cool. So I just wanted them just part of my art collection. The fact that you'll be able to switch out traits and potentially have bodies in the future, I think is super, super cool. And I'm looking forward to what they have coming next. And even if we did see a lot of strength because it dropped to, as you said, 1.3, 1.5, I thought it was going to stay around there as well. But it like 2x from there. I was like, oh, wow, this is impressive. And I think it has to do because the buyers of Popheadz seem like one-of-one collectors. So they're not buying expecting to make some huge profit. They're buying to like hold for the long run. And at these prices, if you're buying a bunch of Popheadz like right now, you're solid. It's a solid hold for the mid to long term.
Yeah, I think so too, Dora. I mean, it's just one of those things that I know the people that were absolutely aping into it, right? And a lot of them I share a lot of one-on-one chats with. So if I see them pop up, I know they have a longer time horizon than just about any other generative collection in the space. So it was more of a comfort that, hey, I know this is a slow mint. I know I probably can get a better entry, but I also know that, dude, some of those were selling for insane amount right off the rip. I mean, like, one of the top 10 sold for like 69.69 SOL within like an hour of it taking off. So it's one of those things that I just played the expected value game of, well, you know, it's 3 SOL. Knowing my mint luck, I already got way too lucky with Utes. I probably burned through it for the next year or two. I will probably get comments, and I did. I got a lot of comments, but nonetheless, it was like, well, if I get a rare, like I could literally cover the entire cost of whatever I mint today and then still have some left over. So it was, you know, you're not always going to hit them, but it was one of those things that I started seeing these way above floor sales that didn't make sense not to. So I went ahead and aped in. I think I minted about 20 of them, and then bought 4 on secondary because I didn't hit any rares. So I said, well, I'm just going to go snipe some rares. I found a top 100 for like 10 SOL. And that thing I can probably return for 30 now. So it's been good. You know, it's been a really fun time, and all the people that are in the Discord and stop by for the AMA, they showed out, dude. I mean, they showed out. So it's a very fun project to be a part of, which is nice in a bear market, right? Like I love trading as much as anybody else, but it is nice to find a community that's new, fresh, has some different takes on things. Joe, want to kick it over to you. How are you playing Popheadz right now? Are you getting in? Are you staying out? What's the deal?
Okay, so Popheadz I would have played, but to be honest with you, I had so many open trades on my hand, so much liquidity out that it was freaking me out. And I bought a bunch of whitelist tokens at like 0.3 and they ran up to 1. So I just dumped them. Because in my head, I was like, this is going to do well, but I don't have the mental space to deal with this right now. And I was watching the volume like, oh, dude, this is the classic slow mint from a solid team where the mint price actively while it's minting out is the floor price is lower than the mint price while it's actually minting out. And you see people just sniping and accumulating and delisting, then sweeping. And just the classic. I knew it was going to pump, but to pump to almost 4 SOL was pretty telltaling that people are grabbing this and holding it. And I think that, man, I'm looking for an entry below 3 SOL because I believe I can get one that I rock with. I can throw in my bag maybe 2 or 3 that I like. Because I really look at the paradigm of investors in a project in order to set up my exits, right? Because we all want to sell at one time, right? That's the goal, is to make money, but that's not saying that that's the only thing we want out of the project, right? We might live within that project for 6 months to a year, right? And add value with ourselves and then decide to leave. So that's what I'm looking at. And I think that's what we're seeing here is a lot of people that are holding these for one, a PFP, because they love the art and they want it to be an IP or brand. They look forward to what they're bringing. And 2, just a longer term holding horizon for these ones, right? And I don't have to worry about intraday trading. I can throw them on the ledger. So yeah, I'm definitely looking to add them as a long-term play for me. And I think under 3 SOL would be nice for me to accumulate some. And if I don't, I'll pick them up above 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see that play out, Joe. I was actually just you know, reaching out to a couple of people that are looking to do the same thing. I do think we'll see another good entry point. I see a lot of these projects on Matchkeeden and like all these marketplaces starting to cool off a little bit on this massive ramp up we've seen over the past few days. I think we're going to get a second round of entries. I don't know if it'll be nearly as good as we saw, you know, 3 days ago or whatever. But I do think they're going to be much stellar than they are now. So right now for me is more sell than buy. There are a few opportunities out there, but I'm just sitting on my hands and waiting for better entries. And I think Popheadz will be another one of those that we'll just have to play the waiting game. I think a lot of people will just try to flip these and you'll have a lot more collectors though on your hands. And I think that's a really good thing, especially in a bear market where people are happy with what they got. What all they'll do is they'll trade out the ones they don't like for the ones they do. So make sure you're like keeping up with trends. There's a lot there. There are over 3K traits. So like it is very hard to keep up with trends. I would say the best thing to play right now is look at categories. So some of them have galactic, some of them are ancestral and all that good stuff. Just watch the trends there. Watch the animated versus non-animated ones. And then if you go on hyperspace, you can also toggle ultimates. Ultimates are ones that have matching cohesive traits. at least 2 of them, up to 4 of them, depending on what category they fall into. It's a lot. So just make sure you're trying to stay on top of it. But I do think these will have wild trades. If you find the right snipe, you can actually make serious returns on some of these rares. So something to look into. We love the Popheadz, love everything they're trying to build over there. And you can just tell they're passionate, man. I stopped into their AMA and listened to the recording, and they clearly care about this project and had no desire to, they didn't want to withhold it anymore. They just wanted to make a community, and I'm proud of them in this market on a different platform. Nobody uses form function unless you're in the one-on-one space. For minting out, dude, that is awesome. Congrats to the team. But we have more to talk about, right? Let's talk about DeGods. Let's talk about Utes, because holy crap, dude.
You've been cooking, Bison.
It's been so fun to trade. It's been so fun to speculate what traits are going to start pulling away. What should I buy a tube versus a Ute? And the volume is just so there. It's like I said, between DeGods, Utes, and tubes makes up more than 50%, close to 60% of the volume we've seen over the past 24 hours. And I think it'll stay like that for a while. We're going to see what happens with it. But, dude, it has been a dream. I sold my noun. If you guys haven't seen on Twitter, my noun Ute, I sold for 333.33.
Let's go.
It solely for like the culture. I was just like, there's no way this sells, right? The floor at the time for nouns was like 150 or something. I was like, if it sells, great. If not, no worries. And I woke up one morning and I swear I started panicking. I didn't see it on the marketplace. I was like, oh my gosh, did I get hacked? Like, what's happening? I checked the activity and I saw it sold full price. I was in disbelief. And right after that, we started seeing the floor clear out a little bit. Now they're at like 420 soul floor. So you could say like, oh yeah, Bison, you should have had more diamond hands. Bro, I listed like over 2 times the floor right there. I did not expect that to sell. And I'm happy with the sale. I would do it over again, knowing what I know now, because what I did was I reinvested that money into tubes. So I took like 150 soul out. I just kept it on the side. And then the rest of the money I used to buy 2 tubes. I bought at 95 and 99. I did de-risk one way too early at like 110, just because I was like, look, if they run down, at least I captured, we'll say 15 soul profit right there. Then I sold another one at 119. Saw the strength they had at it.
Let's go.
Re-entered in at 117, and I rode that up. I just sold it for 177. Dude,
damn, Bison.
It's been like my best trading week in soul terms ever since I started. I mean, I'm up 420 soul over the past week, which again, that's not normal. Like I've never had this good. That literally makes up for any trading mistake I have had over the past year.
Yes.
Like any of them. It covers all my losses like 3 times over. So I'm ecstatic. It's been awesome to trade. Tubes are where I have been saying, when I sold my noun, I said, all I'm doing is I'm going into tubes, because the more trait deviation we start to see, the more we start seeing these supply squeezes on tubes. It's a no-brainer. Degens will degen, right? It's like ripping open Pokemon card packs to see if you get that Charizard, right? Even though the safer play would be to sell that unopened, booster pack or whatever it is. That, like, EV wise, it makes more sense to do that. I figured the same thing would happen. It did. It panned out way faster than I thought it would. I was planning on selling it like 120 just to get some returns. I didn't think these things would pop off so much, but volume just came in over the past few days. It has been monstrous. There's got to be something that somebody knows, because I don't know how these things went up 3 times in floor price in this market. I want to kick it over to Joe first. Do you hear any rumblings of like staking coming? Is that why everybody's aping into these? Like, what's going on here, Joe? And how are you playing Utes?
Hey, thank you, Bison. Yeah, so we'll break that down. I'll start off with how I'm playing Utes. So I entered another Ute right around 80 soul, and I'm sitting on my free Ute that I had from a tube. I offloaded another tube already as well. But yeah, the 2 I'm holding now, I'm just going to hang out and wait. I'm in the green on both of those. And I think, like you said, you sold at the right time. I think we're going to have a little cool off period here. But yeah, staking is on the horizon for sure. Very shortly, it's been hinted at a few times. I think also we're seeing a lot of ETH money move in. and when I say ETH money, I mean legit money, like people that don't normally buy Solana NFTs, right? That they're like, okay, what's a hedge for my ETH portfolio, my BAYC, my MAYC? Like everything's going down, dogs are going down. What's a hedge? Okay, let me grab a possible value proposition in DeGods Utes if they come to Ethereum, right? Which I think that's being hemmed out. I don't think that's happening, guys. I think what's happening here is going to be rapid airdrops on different blockchains. Now, what kind of value that bring? What is that going to look like is the question. And then the Hex PFP that people have been seeing and kind of like thinking, oh, what does this mean? That's kind of basically been stated as ready. That's going to be the third project that comes. It's going to be V3, right? DeGods, Utes, and then this project is going to be on Ethereum. So, and then the whitelist allocations will come probably from both communities. So I think people that have been in spaces or in DDAO, this has been stated a few times by team members. So I think speculation is just kind of made its way out. And I think people with extra money are hedging themselves. But you also see Phantom Wallet, Phantom itself, sweep, like 20 some Utes, all mullets. You saw, you know what I'm saying? There's some social FOMO going on as well. Even during the bear, you can see like people going, oh, I must have missed the capitulation. And then they come in. So we shall see. I do believe if the staking comes out in 4 to 7 days, which is 5 days since that was stated, and we still have 48 hours, we could see another supply shock. Only because it's supposed to be a new innovative reward system. If it's how it's supposed to be, I can see people loading their Utes on and going to get a few more because people love gamified theories and gamified factions. So yeah, we can still see another catalyst if they do it correctly. And I hope the team finally, after all this FUD and all this, naysay, has found theirself a pocket of liquidity. And I hope they capitalize on it, right? Because they can really springboard this whole ecosystem to the next level. DeGods back to 300 plus, right? Utes back to up to 150, Tubes 200 plus. That EV there will be serious. And I think they can capture that if they're able to drop this staking platform and have it efficient. So I'm hopeful, but man, I have PTSD. I've been in this DeGods family for a long time, man, and I know how delays work, and I get it, and tech's going to tech, but I hope we can capture this liquidity pop right now because I think it'll be good for the whole market.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Joe. Well said as always. Door, kick it over to you. How are you doing with Utes? What's your plays been so far on Utes or DeGods or anything like that in the ecosystem?
Yeah, first of all, congrats to you, Bison, on fucking making bank. Oh, gosh, cursed again. Congrats on making bank, dog. Like, that's some insane trading, man. And, like, you were saying how this 1 week has made up for all your losses. And I think that's the key in this space. It's like you got to take calculated risk, and all of them aren't going to work out. But when you hit wins, you got to make sure you allocate capital appropriately. So when they do hit, it's just like, man, it's paying off like 10x. So congrats, dude. That's awesome, man. Like for you, if I were in your position, I wouldn't be paying attention to the USD value of SOL either. It's like you're just stacking SOL right now. SOL will go back up. So you're putting yourself in a great position. In terms of like me trading Utes and Tubes, I actually don't have a Ute anymore. I had to sell off it's to take care of some personal stuff, but it's all good. That's what NFTs are for. I haven't taken profit in a while to treat myself to anything nice in months. So thank you, Utes. I'm appreciative of that. But in terms of like where I think Utes is going, I know a couple weeks ago, Frank had like so much fun around Utes and DeGods and Tubes. And it's just, I never let any of that get to me. I think people are very unempathetic to how much stress and pressure Frank was under. And a lot of people who are criticizing him, don't get me wrong, it's like there are some critiques for Frank, but I think a lot of the critiques were a bit unnecessary and a bit aggressive. They were either from people who were salty that they didn't get useless. We saw that happen a lot when people were critiquing the whole useless process. But if you go on their Twitter timeline, they haven't done anything to provide value. Then it's just like things are delayed and everybody became an art critic once Utes came out. It's like, oh, look at the ear. The glasses doesn't exactly, like, shut up, dude. Like this guy has literally been carrying the ecosystem on his back since the beginning of the bear market under immense amount of stress, brought new people into the ecosystem, and you're focusing over on some glasses over an ear. Get out of here, dog. Get out of here. So I think Frank gets a lot of unjustified hate, but I can see that I never fade the guy because when he hits, he hits. And even in this horrible state, guess what's pumping? As you said, Bison, 60% belongs to everything in this ecosystem. So I'm bullish as hell on this dude long term. And because USD value of Sol is down bad, I'm looking to pick up a DeGod. Why am I going to a Ute? I just grind a little bit harder and I can pick up a DeGod or two. So that's primarily my focus right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very curious to see. And, I'll let Joe kind of, touch up on it since he's our resident, more apt to the DeGod system. But it does seem strange to me that, tubes are so close to the floor price of a DeGod. Like for me, that seems like the safer play is going with the original collection. Almost always is, right? Base C versus Macy. What did you want? You want the Base C. Now we could talk about that ecosystem too, because it seems to be absolutely tanking right now.
Yes.
I know if you guys don't listen to Easy Show in the morning, he now has a morning show, which is great for me. I never get to catch his 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time space on Twitter Monday through Thursday, but he has a morning show, and I mean, he's right. I really do think that a lot of this FTX contagion we talk about is affecting a lot of people. We don't know what Yuga Labs treasury looks like, if they kept a lot of it on FTX. We don't know how much FTX was involved with Basie because there's speculation of that. I think we're seeing a lot of fear over in that ecosystem. I would actually be curious to see how low it goes because, I mean, if the numbers pan out right, you're talking about the #1 NFT collection right now, arguably versus Punks, right? I mean, like Punks is probably the other big one, but dude,
both owned by Yuga, so
yeah. And what the funny thing is, like, Solana's taking the lead in some of these conversations. We saw it with 0% royalties. We're seeing it with, I mean, we were more directly involved with FTX and the fall of FTX versus Ethereum. And now I think we've kind of found more of a bottom. It feels closer to a bottom. Who knows if it goes to $8, but when everybody's going $8, probably not going to $8, right? It's one of those things that right now is the best time to fade the public easily. There's a lot of emotions in this market. There's a lot of people that will, all of a sudden within 24 hours completely switch the narrative. You have to make sure that you're listening to all the sentiment, but not actually taking it to heart. And I think we're going to see something similar with Yuga and the whole Ethereum ecosystem. Dude, if there are some discounts on Basie, Macy, Punks,
other side,
other side, Proof Collective, anything like Moonbirds or something like that, I'm interested, bro. I'm so interested. Like if I could find some good Ethereum projects to get involved with, I'd do it if the numbers line up. But I just always found more value in Solana because of how little the USD value was compared to the Ethereum side. I wasn't gonna buy into Basie at 100K, right? Like that, I'm not doing that. I'd have to second mortgage my house, but I am interested in Base C if they go down to 30K, 10K, whatever it looks like. I can sell some stuff off on that, but the numbers got to line up. It is the #1 collection still on all chains, and I think it'll maintain its status there. Joe, I want to kick it over to you. What kind of insight do you have on why, what's going to happen with DeGods? I see the season 3 Hexagon teaser coming up again, where it was, I didn't even realize it was in October that they announced that season 3, it was just a hexagon, right? That to me, because I thought the Ethereum tweet was just completely out of the blue from Frank. It looks like they planned this. So if we start getting airdrops, or if they actually, the last thing I want them to do is migrate everything over there. I would love to see airdrops over on ETH, bullish. Migrating everything over to ETH, bro, you're just setting yourself back. For me, it doesn't make any sense. But want your take, Joe? I don't know if you have any insider information over there and whatnot.
Yeah, so I'm obviously not paid by the team, and this isn't any forward-thinking speculations at all. This is just an idiot, thinking out loud, like I, always say. But yeah, I think what is being hemmed out is staying on Solana, and then they'll have those avid airdrops across different chains, especially for Utes, because Utes will be more of the project that'll be the hype cycle every 30 days, making sure that there's hype and an announcement and something that you're getting back value-wise. DeGods is going to be hemmed more to a high-value brand, a high-value articulate brand that brings value back to the holder through just the IP itself. And we know for a fact that you're going to get the allocation. I don't know how yet, but for that Hexagon PFP will be the third collection that will most likely be interchangeable woman or man, same traits. You can toggle back and forth without any rarity discrepancies. That will be the hexagon most likely that they're alluding to. So you can kind of go, all right, well, where's that whitelist allocation going to come from, right? You can kind of look at how many Utes there are and how many DeGods, and you go, well, that'd be 25,000 collection, so then you can kind of ask supply wise. So there's a lot of game theory that goes into the whitelist allocation process, right, and how you would go about that. But it's all speculation, and they know what they're doing. But that's how you drive hype in a speculative market. Is just more speculation, right? That's as much speculation as you can drive within a market with no true utility yet, right? If a product has no true utility yet, you have no other buying buying value propositions other than the speculation. So yeah, I think there's a lot there to unpack. But I think once staking goes live and you see the reward system, you see that, oh, this is different, right? It's not tokenized. These are IRL rewards that I'm receiving and can redeem. It's going to be a very Web 2-ish, Web 3. You know what I'm saying? I think the veil between Web 2 and Web 3 with Utes and DeGods, the new reward system, is going to be brought down a little bit. So I'm excited.
Yeah. It's going to be very curious to see how it all plays out. Dor, I know you said that you're more interested in the DeGods right now.
Yeah.
So at what levels would you consider, well, maybe I'll go into Utes over DeGods? Is there any level that you're looking at or anything like that?
No, I just, like you said, to me at these levels, it's like, why get a Ute if DeGod, what's Ute's price right now?
It's less than 100. It just dipped back below 100. It's at 97 last time.
No, I'd just save up for a DeGod at this point. Like, if you're trying to enter the ecosystem, why not just get the main collection? Like, I just see a higher return on having a DeGod than having a Ute. Nothing against Utes. Utes are awesome, but any solid founder is going to continue to drive value back to that primary collection.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, yeah, I know he tweeted out the other day, he's like, DeGods, we haven't forgotten you.
Yeah.
So it's going to be curious to see how it all balances out while he maintains, integrity of both projects as well as Dust Labs, because Dust got hit heavy too. I mean, they got hit heavy with all this FTX fallout. Contagion, bro. We talk about it. It's spreading to a lot of different facets of Web3. It's not just Solana, it's not just Ethereum. I mean, it's across the whole board. And man, you can put your tinfoil hats on all day if you want to with what happened, but we like to maintain truth here, what we do know and facts. And what we do know is that things are still pumping. They're cranking right along. So we talked about Popheadz minting out over 2 days, so more of a slow mint, which for me was fun, man. I love slow mint days. That means like I got to wake up after a day of minting my whitelist tokens, and I got to mint on public, and I was just so happy. I was like, I just mint.
Yep.
And like if I ever got sad and needed a little hopium hit, I just hit mint again. Like it was nice. I think we'll see. Yeah, what's up, Joe?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that's such a good point. At this point, dude, when Sol's like $15, $10, like, dude, that dopamine is worth more to me than this 10. Like, I'm on DraftKings with worse things. Like, at least I'm getting an actual founding project that looks good with good fundamentals. I don't know. It just, that dopamine can be in a more successful exposure than a lot of things like coffee, all these other things. So I'm not against that at all, Bison, especially if you have the value proposition there. Like, yo, I'm holding on these anyway. I like the team. I think that's awesome. And I wanted to say real quick that Frank did say, right, this is speculation. I'm pretty good at reading nuances. That's how I trade. And he said that he's meeting with Sir Candy Apple for the first time. And if you guys know, he was the main component in the last roadmap, right? Mm-hmm. So he says that we're probably not starting something cool tomorrow. No way. So I can see that the roadmap 3 could be dropping soon. And that would drive probably a pretty quick and violent floor price. I think we could see 300 Sol if that happens in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm with you there on that one, dog. Like, once again, people fade DeGods for some awkward reason, but dude, the connections that Frank has been able to make within Solana and outside of Solana is setting up this community and him for success well into the future, man. People always give him crap about buying big three, but I always just looked at that as a networking opportunity to reach an audience that he would never have the opportunity to. And if it achieved that, that's going to pay back dividends, whatever the team costs. So Frank knows what he's doing. And I'm super bullish on everything in the DeGods ecosystem.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I'm sidelined. Like I said, I'm kind of waiting to see what Sol does here, because if we see any sort of volatility in Sol price action, I think we see some sort of just like people absolutely flooring their stuff just to get exposure to Sol because they're over leveraged on the NFT side. We'll see what happens there. But if I suspect any sort of volatility, whether it's to the downside or the upside, for me, that's a time that I'm going to start parsing off some of my holdings and just kind of sit in Sol while I wait to see what happens. And then if I need to stable up, much easier to do so in Sol rather than trying to sell your NFT into Sol and then stable up while the whole move is happening. So right now, liquidity is king. We've been saying it for months now, and I think it still holds true because all I'm trying to do right now is stack Sol. Stack Sol. You know, at these levels, people are trying to give it away, and I will happily take it. So where, you know, when we were having 30K Sol volume and stuff, it just didn't make any sense. There was no volatility in the market. Sol was just trending sideways. I would much rather see volatile Sol. So we see, you know, price action on the token itself, so I can trade that, or price action on the NFT, so I can take advantage of really depreciated floors. We'll see what happens through all of it. But talking about Popheadz, talking about the dopamine hit there, we have a ton of projects coming up. We did have UGS announce that they're delaying until December 1st. I actually think this is a really smart move. They probably saw all the competition and stuff and were like, you know what? Lily's coming out November. It was like 10th to the 19th. It is now the 18th. They've just announced that. We have Claynosaurs is on the horizon as well, and that's going to be a big Sol mint. We also have, you know, Nomads is coming out this week. There's a lot of mints coming out, and it is, while Sol is still very cheap, and I actually do think that minting may not be a bad idea, or just waiting to see what happens with the mint may not be a bad idea. I'm playing secondary on all of these. I personally am not touching them. I will observe from the sidelines to see how fast are they minting out, how much hype is around them. Like Popheadz to me was solely to support artists. I'd probably do the same with Claynosaurs too, but an 8 to 10 Sol mint. Look, one Sol is one Sol for me right now. Like I know a lot of people say it in the USD value, but right now with it being so low, I would rather view it in the one Sol to one Sol terms. You know, and at the heights, when we start reaching our heights, when we start going back up towards $100, $250 or something, I look at it in USD terms. I promise you that'll be the time that you're like, man, I should really sell this $50,000 NFT, right? Not bag hold it to 1,000. So I don't know. We'll just see what happens with it. I really want to play Claynosaurs secondary. I think that is going to be my most fun I have in any of these mints, as well as Lily. I think between those two in the near term, those are going to be the ones that, it's going to be so much fun to trade those on secondary. I want to get your guys' opinions. Would you mint anything? Are you looking to mint anything in the near future? We'll go with you first, Joe, and then we'll go to Dorian.
Yeah, so I'm sitting on a Lotus Gang for Lily. I did have two other ones that I bought around 9 Sol, but I sold off right around, I think, 15 to 16 Sol, something like that. So I am holding one still because I basically thought like I made myself a moonbag there with the capitulation trade. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Lily for sure, and I'm looking forward to Clay.
It happened. There we go.
There we go.
Back again.
And I'm Ethernetted in. Oh, this is just ridiculous. I'm Ethernetted in. Oh my goodness. Claynosaurs I'm pre-allocated to. I have 2 of those. 10 Sol seems steep, but man, I don't know. I'll throw 10 Sol at a possible banger here. So yeah, nothing other than that. And I just want to, guys, there's so many opportunities. I'll tell you a couple because I'm out of them now, but just arbitrage wise, and then different communities that have opportunities, right? For one, Cyber Frogs. I was able to buy a few at 9 to 10 Sol. Their factions go from 20 Sol and up, right? 3 different factions. In order to get an upgrade, you have to buy Kira, right? Which is their token. And you spend that to upgrade to a faction. Well, at the time, Kira was only 1 or 2 soul, right? Cyber Frogs were 9 to 10. That's a 12 soul. I can immediately turn it into a Yakuza, a Police, or a Ronin. All those are premiums 20 soul. So I was able to net 10 plus soul on each Cyber Frog I sold, and I floored them just by playing that route, right? And I also did another thing with Degen Trash Pandas. Naked ones are selling at a premium on the floor, right? So what would I do? I would find ones that were floored with traits that sell on Famous Fox. People don't realize DTP traits sell on Famous Fox, guys. You unboot it, you throw it up there. I've sold 4 or 5 traits this week. So what I was doing was stripping out some floor pandas with cool traits, stripping them, right? Putting them on Famous Fox, and then flooring the panda for a 7 and 8 soul 1 to 2 delta on the floor, right? So these are all, that's not, I'm not saying that's, I'm God, or I'm just saying you can find opportunities in this market everywhere, right? Just take your time and really think about it. I know if you're in this market, it's because you're smart, you're into gamified factions, you've probably played games before, in and outs. Like, so if you're still here during this bear, have some fun with it and sharpen your skills a little bit and your tools.
Yep. Well said.
Absolutely. No, there's a ton of alpha going on right now. And I think it is when you start seeing emotions peak on Twitter. Like I'm spending so much time on Twitter, not even tweeting too much. Like I do tweet a lot, but not tweeting nearly as much as I do. Just checking sentiment. So I like posting charts lately. I like kind of figuring out what people are doing, because if I start seeing a lot of fear or a lot of bullishness all of a sudden, that's when I start. I mean, like fading the public right now is my best strategy for trading at my top tier. It's what got me into a lot of great positions lately. And I think the more you fade the public, you don't even have to listen to us. I'm just saying, listen to the masses and just do the opposite, right? That's all you have to do right now.
You can do that most of the time, and it'll work out for you. When you see the timeline super euphoric, you're like, maybe this might be a top signal.
Yep.
And it's a reason, It really is to be contrarian. And most people that are throughout there, if you back test their portfolios, it really works out. I mean, I've stayed long, and I just closed my long because of one thing. Every space I'd get into, people were like, I'm buying Sol at $5. I stabled everything over. I'm not even DCAing here. I'm just like, all right, I don't know about it. I keep hearing that. I'm like, if it does get down there, then, great. But I don't know. Sometimes it seems like there can be automated bots, guys, that billionaires have set up, right, to never let Sol go below $10, right? The people do these things, right? And these are how markets move. And that's how you go from a below $1 Solana to a $10 Solana to a 50. And then you kind of build the macro ranges with that, because we're still a new blockchain. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Bison. I just think that fading the public, being contrarian, not all the time, but when it makes sense, right? When you have a good set practice and foundation for why you are contrarian, I think it can pay out.
Yeah. It's going to happen. And I don't know. There's just so much happening in this ecosystem, even in a bear market, dude. There's so many good projects on the horizon. I love Lily. I love Clanosaurs. I love UGS. I love Nomads. TH is great. I want exposure to all these projects. It's just finding out the right time to do so. So for me, it is like, if you buy now, Sol's $15. Like, okay, if you're a longer term investor, you take more of the mindset that Dorian does on most days. That like, what's the downside, and you could wait a year and a half before you see any real returns. But in the meantime, I mean, this is where I'm starting to trade more of like the 2x, 3x again, because we're starting to see, dude, 300K volume is nothing to bat an eye at, and I know we say it's a vanity metric, but now that we're starting to see more enforceable royalties and everything like that, with Utes is one of the first ones to do it on a contract level. It's good to see. Like, we're starting to see more normal, not wash trading volume. So when you see volume like this, I chase volume. I'm going to make trades. I'm going to make profit. That's all I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to stack that Sol. So Dorian, what are you looking at?
All those projects sound like Clanosaurs looks amazing. I know they have a lot of experience with Minions, like a lot of Pixar movies, and I'm super excited for them. But because it's 8 to 10 Sol, I probably won't be minting. That's just a little much for me right now. And I hate to say, but I think it's going to dip down on secondary. Just the history of Sol leads me to believe that. So I think it'll probably dip definitely below mint, that's for sure. But it'll probably find a floor around 4 to 5 SOL, and then I'll scoop up some of those at those price points. With UGS and Nomad, same thing. I'm just playing secondary in the sense of I'll see what they do after a couple weeks or months post mint, and then I'll decide to pick one up or not when everybody's focusing other places. But right now, my edge is not in trading in this market. As you guys know, I'm not a trader, and I'm not going to pretend to be as good on the short term as Bison and Joe. My niche is just finding those undervalued projects that are about to pop off with some type of announcement. And for me, I'm just accumulating a lot of the top tier projects. Like I want to get enough to get a DAA. I'm even looking on the ETH side. Like other side is at what, 0.9 ETH? Yo, picking up an other side D below 1 ETH is insane. Like it's just crazy value for that. Even with VFriends Series 1, those are sitting at like 4 ETH right now. I'm like, that's a steal. So it's just like I'm looking for those blue chips that I'm like, if we're in this state of a bear market for 2 or 3 years, what's going to make it out on the other end?
Yeah, I mean it's true. It's just finding those projects that look. You can take a Joe and I approach where we're just trading whatever the volume follows, because right now it's glorious. If we see 300K volume, we're trading it. But you can also take Dorian's approach, buy it, set it, and forget it. I mean, like if you find those projects that you think are going to be around for 6 months, a year, 2 years plus, it doesn't make any sense not to get in right now when floors are. I don't know. 3 days ago it made a lot more sense, but. You know, when Solana's $15 a pop, you know, so we'll see what happens throughout all of it. But right now I'm enjoying the time still. I'm stacking Sol. I think that's my best alpha for everybody, is just find those opportunities you see present themselves. Make sure you're staying liquid enough to take advantage of them, because if you have no liquid on hand, how are you going to take advantage of a 20 to 50% drop in a floor price that you really wanted? You can't. So just make sure you're staying liquid. Don't deploy all of your capital right now. And have fun trading, have fun investing, dude. This is a time when everybody else is fearful, when everybody else is saying that the collapse of Sol is imminent and cryptocurrency is dead. Hey, it's usually a really like profitable
bottom signal.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like
7 times before in the past 10 years, legit. Like New York Times, crypto's dead. And normally, guys, when they're telling you it's dead, they're buying, and when they're telling you it's soaring, it ain't soaring no more. You know what I'm saying? And that's the Kevin O'Learys. Those are the CNBCs. Like it's contrary, right? You gotta realize, man, we're sheep, and we like to run in herds. And when sheep run in herds, it's easy to maintain. You get dogs to do it, right? It's not too hard. When you start getting sheep to break out of rank, and then you have to get more wranglers out there on horses and more people and more hands on deck, it's a problem, right? So those are metaphors you want to look at and just read between the lines. And have you guys, real quick, to cap off, have you seen SBF's newest tweets? Like, this guy's still tweeting.
Yeah. So I saw somebody was theorizing, a lot of people were putting on tinfoil hats, but one guy actually, what makes sense to me is that they found out a way that you can delete tweets while also tweeting at the same time.
Auto-botting a tweet doesn't change.
Basically, so like he's just tweeting out like what basically spelled out what happened, and then he tried to like elaborate on it, but people were saying that he was deleting tweets at the same time as him making those tweets. So he was just doing it one letter at a time, so he can just kind of drag people along, make them pay attention to that while he was deleting tweets. And that's just so sus to me, dude. That whole situation just stinks, man. It stinks.
Yeah, dog.
You start. I mean, like I said, I'm not putting on tinfoil hat on this show. Maybe we'll do a space sometime in the near future where we can speculate on stuff like that. But dude, the whole thing just smells. It reeks, dude.
He just tweeted out my one goal is to do right by customers. I'm contributing what I can do doing so. I'm meeting in person with regulators and working with teams to do what we can for customers. After that, investors, but first customers. Yeah. Like, bro, no. Like, to be honest with you, the fact that there's not been an indictment, at least, that's been released yet, like, it just shows you, like, man, we need a sense of regulation here. I know decentralization is a key, but we got to protect people, at human beings at the base level of life, right? We need a thin layer, right? It doesn't have to be. It's a veil of protection for human life at the end of the day, right? And well-being. So yeah, we should we should have a spaces or something just to talk about that, a non-recorded one or something. But
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that. And the one thing I'll sign off by saying is that this will get spun like we need regulation. But if you look at all of these things, dude, it all started because one entity got way too big and got way too powerful, and that's centralization at its core. Like FTX got way too big. Whoever let them literally use their made up token
As
for
leverage,
2.6,
as collateral.
yeah, and leverage it as collateral. Like that, though, how are we not looking into them? Like that makes no sense to me. So,
Yo, can we create a RareFUD token and use that as collateral?
Yes, we'll just become the biggest media conglomerate ever.
Exactly.
We'll just make our own made up token. It just like that is where I'm like, how did they manage to find somebody to literally lend them up to $2.6 billion and use their made up token as collateral? Like, how are they not being the headline news there?
does that fall on the lenders? I mean, what team do you have in place? Are you not checking? Like,
That's
what
what I'm
are you
saying.
doing? You're not even checking like the bare minimum, even for the the United States federal government. Like, you didn't even back check for when you're getting donations. Because that would have showed you right there if you back checked the United States government. Like that alone would have shown you, right? That shows you they didn't even do a back check on taxes or anything, Bison. That's crazy. For $100+ million donations, you're not checking?
Oh, that's another thing that's staying, and that's where the real tinfoil hat comes on, because you talk about his political contributions. But again, I'm not going to get into that on this show. That is a whole nother ball game that we can, make a video on or speculate or go on in a space. But it just stinks, dude. It all stinks. And of course, like he's gonna say that he's doing it all for the customers and stuff, but I guarantee you we're gonna be the ones that have to literally carry this with us for the next couple of years, and we're gonna see the ones that are trying to preach for regulation and stuff like that, and they're gonna regulate the wrong things, I guarantee you. And I think that's what frustrates me more than anything, and we won't have a say in it. It'll be our system that we made, and we won't have a say in it. I think that's what just breaks my heart at the end of the day. I know Sol will survive. I know crypto will go on, but and they're going to try to regulate things. They can't too. They're going to try to. And the beauty of Web3, unless you shut down the internet, and even then, you have ways to get money across, countries and stuff with Bitcoin and whatnot. I think when we focus on the good stuff at the end of the day, another thing we didn't talk about today was Apple Pay working with Circle. To enforce USDC and like use that as payment. So bullish, dude. Like there's just so many good things that we focus too much on the FTX stuff because obviously it's a massive event. This is a black swan, but there's still good things happening, and we will survive from all of this,
Yes, we will.
So yeah, we'll sign off with that, guys. I know we talked about a lot of alpha. We talked about Popheadz. We talked about DeGods, Utes, that whole ecosystem, and what the volume they're bringing has been just such an amazing thing to trade. And then also talking about a little bit about the upcoming mints and philosophies behind them. I think we're all pretty much in agreement that I might mint one just to feel something. I don't know in this market, but
I just need a feeling of anything.
Yeah, just something. But like at the end of the day, the safest play is probably going to be to play secondaries on this, just see what happens with the min action, and just take it slow. You don't have to, unless you feel 100% conviction. Things have dropped like 50%, and you just see like a stellar entry on stuff. It's okay to take things slow and just wait it out and stay on the sidelines with liquidity. Cash is king right now. Sol is king, and taking advantage of these opportunities will really provide yield in the future. So I think that about does it for us, guys. I'll let you comment if you have anything else to say, but if not, I'll go ahead and sign us off.
I don't have anything else. I do want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us. I appreciate you guys taking out your time today. Bison, you're an awesome host. Joe, you have amazing takes as always, dude, and I'm always happy to be here with you guys.
You guys are awesome. Legend.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to RareFUD Radio. Another episode 27. We are on 27 right now. And we'll be on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 28. And stay safe out there. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials, all of our platforms, Door's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. We now have the RareFUD YouTube channel. You can find us on all your podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you see something we don't have, just let us know. We're happy to bring it over to you so you can catch this sweet, sweet alpha whenever you have the time to. That does it for us on this episode. We will see you Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay safe out there.